And we are live. What's up, beasties? It's me. It's Triple B, your friendly neighborhood bearded book beast. Welcome back to another episode of Beast Friends Forever. And today we have a very, very special episode. I have a very special guest that I'm very excited to chat with. There's a lot of doctors in this world. There's your regular doctor that we all see for our ailments. There may be, you turn on the TV, there's quite a few doctors you might see. Dr. Phil, Dr. Quinn, medicine woman. There's the doctor of thugonomics, John Cena. You can't see me. A little WWE reference there. For us fantasy lovers, there's, of course, Doctor Who. But all of them, Dr. House, that's a good one, John A. Douglas. There's a lot of them. Anyway, Doogie Howser, we could go on and on. But I have with me the best doctor of them all. That is Dr. Fantasy. Please help me welcome the author of the Way of Edan Trilogy, Dr. Fantasy himself, Philip Chase.
Chris, that I had actually been compared to Doctor Who before because of the tweed and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the first time I think I've ever been compared to John Cena.
Yes. I did something right then today.
That's a first right here.
Yes. Yeah. All right, you can put that on the back of one of your books now.
I love it.
Oh man. Well,
there's
thank
a guy
you
who could be compared to John Cena. There's Tom Orange there in the chat.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, we got a lot of people in the chat already. So welcome, John A. Douglas. That's right. We're gonna class it up in here. NA is here. What's up, my friend? Thanks for being here. Oops, author Timothy Wolf. What's up? Happy Saturday.
There he is, another author in the chat.
Shane, what's up?
Hello, Shane.
And yes, John Cena with a mustache, Tom Orange. And yeah, that Tom, you do kind of have the John Cena thing going. He always wears certain colors. You've got that down with the orange. The soon-to-be debut author.
Yes, whose book I am actually reading right now.
Oh,
I am actually reading.
Oh, that's awesome.
Discovery.
Yes.
And I'm interrupting my reading for this, but I'm thoroughly, I have to say, this is really good, everybody. Everybody needs to pick up Discovery ASAP because it's really, really good. It's really good.
I'm excited.
I know it's the three of them. It's Jacob and Amy and John, and the three of them have managed to capture an ethereal voice that feels so mature to me, and it's really good writing. Yeah, I mean, it's good stuff. Yeah.
I'm surprised. They're awesome.
Watch out for this one to blow up, everybody. It's gonna be good stuff.
I cannot wait to read that.
Yeah.
We got Senna here. She's frozen. I'm glad that you're inside where it's warm, hopefully, since you couldn't do your
extra layers.
Yes. Mr. Roro, thanks for being here. This is going to be exciting. I am excited too. John says the maturity is all Amy.
Oh, I knew that.
We knew that. No surprise to anybody, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. And we'll let more and more people trickle in. It's going to be an awesome show. So thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. Belltube's here. Brian.
There's the man.
What's up? That's right. I hope you're staying warm in Minnesota, Brian. We had I'm in Michigan, and last week I had 4 snow days in a row as a teacher, which is pretty awesome. That never happens.
Wow. You're not supposed to tell everyone that the teachers actually like the snow days more than the students.
I know. I actually watch the forecast more than they do, but we usually don't get much here because we're used to the bad weather. So they have everything ready to go. They clean it up, but it was those wind chills. And where Brian is, it was more like -40. So I
was going to complain about how cold it is here in New Jersey, but I also like such a wimp next to you guys in Minnesota and Michigan. So.
Oh man, I know it was a wild week. It was crazy for sure. Sorry about my dog barking. That's probably your books that just got delivered. That's probably what they're barking at.
Oh, wow. So your dog has good taste in books too.
I guess so. Yeah, that's right. Marcelo's here. Marcelo, thanks for being here, my friend. I know it is funny. Like with the snow stretching across the country, some of the southern states, like they get a dusting and everything shuts down. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's kind of cute when you see people in the South taking videos of like half an inch of snow and they're all excited. And
oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's kind of cute.
And that's like a normal occurrence for us up in the northern and northeast, right?
Yeah.
It's nothing. Oh yes, Tom does not like that cold weather. 15, that's like summer weather right now.
Yeah,
nice.
Tom's down the south. Yep.
Yep, for sure. I'm gonna be moving his way. I'm gonna be moving down North Carolina area this summer. So
wait, you're like permanently moving?
Most likely. We'll see. We'll see. My wife just got done with her master's.
Oh, congratulations.
Wow. Yeah, she's going to be a midwife. And we were just looking around and there just wasn't a lot in the area. So she was working with a recruiter and looking maybe just a little bit close to us, but maybe like an hour or two away. And then there were some jobs out of the state. And there was one in North Carolina near some friends she has. So she just went through the process. And then she loved it when she went down there. They wined and dined her, and then they made a crazy offer. Like, I mean, a lot of money. So it was like we talked to her for a long time, and I was like, wow, let's go for it. Let's go. I can teach anywhere, you know.
Yeah. They need teachers everywhere. Yeah,
exactly.
Wow, congratulations to her. That's fantastic.
I know. Yeah, she's excited. She doesn't like change, so that's gonna be hard. She grew up in this area. She's never been away from it, so it'll be an adjustment, but we'll get there. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Well, you have some good people down there in the Kakalakis that you already know. So
I do. So I know it's gonna be exciting. Let's see. Make sure I didn't miss anybody that hopped in. Oh, Sarah Beth is here. Thanks for being here. 60. That sounds wild right now. I can't.
The hottest part of the country right now.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man. Brian's gonna be 5 minutes behind. We'll make it work. Yeah, I was gonna say. I was thinking the same thing as John. Sounds about normal.
I was gonna say something snarky like that, but John beat me to it.
I know. I was like, I shouldn't. He said it. Man. Yeah, we got a great chat here. This is gonna be awesome. So again, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I have to say, like, your channel was one of the early ones I found. You know, like most people, I found Daniel Green, found Murphy, found Mike, and then it was like
the usual suspects.
Yep. Yeah. And then pretty quick after that, I found yours, and I've just always loved the way that you talk about books. I love your vibe of your channel. I love how just how smart you are. I love hearing you talk about books. It helps me feel like, I could read that book. He breaks it down so well. But overall, I just love how kind you are, my friend. You're just so nice. And it's just been a pleasure getting to watch your channel all these years. And then when you came out with your books, it's been awesome reading them. I just finished Way of Edan, and it was excellent. Very good. Wow. It was really good. I love First Law, and what I love most about First Law is how Abercrombie can write characters that you just love and you care about, whether they're good guys, bad guys, side characters, main POVs. You just love them all, and that's how I felt with yours. I could not get enough of every character. I never was like, I'm following this one, I want to get back to that one. It was just, you did a great job. So kudos, and I'm excited because I'm sure it just gets better and better from here.
Well, thank you, Chris. Speaking of kindness, I really appreciate you even just taking on giving the story a chance. You know, every author is, I think, probably to some degree at least, feels that the way I've always put it is their story comes alive when someone reads it. And it's even better if somebody resonates with the story. You know, not everybody's going to love your book, that's for sure.
Right.
People are going to bounce off it and have different tastes, or it's just not the right time, or whatever it might be. But just first of all, I'm thankful to anyone who gives it a try. And of course, it's very gratifying when somebody says, yeah, I felt this, you know, and so I really appreciate you doing it. And, you know, that's one of the things that I'm very grateful to be part of this community for, really, is the kindness everywhere, you know, and it's really cool. I mean, I don't know, I'm probably biased in this, but I do feel that people who read a lot, on average, let's say, you know, it's a generalization, they tend to be kinder.
Yeah.
They tend to be more empathetic, more thoughtful, compassionate. And maybe it's because of reading. There's a connection there because we're always putting ourselves in someone else's shoes. We're always seeing from somebody else's eyes when we're reading. And I think it's good practice for empathy. So maybe there's something there. I don't know. It's not a scientific study on my part, but it's an observation.
I like it. I agree. 100%. We had a couple more people pop in. Chad is here. What's up? Thanks for being here. And then Michael Roberti is here, another author. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got so many people.
Some great people out there.
I know.
I love John's comment about the position of the books behind me here.
Yes, I was just gonna say.
It's funny because I didn't have them there, and when I was backstage with Chris, I saw he had his copy of The Way of Edan.
Yeah.
Like, oh, maybe I should put my books up too. We spent like 3 minutes figuring this out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know how when you're looking at the camera, you can like, wait, is this backwards or is this backwards? Yep. You know. So,
it's hard to figure it out. It took a little bit, but he got it. He got it. Oh man, so awesome. All right. So before we dive into all the questions I have about your journey, lots of journeys, your reading journey, your booktube journey, your writing journey, everything. I have one question first that I like to kick it off and ask. So every day I do a question of the day that's usually book or fantasy related on my channel. So I want to see how you would answer today's question of the day. And go ahead in the chat. You guys throw in there what you would do as well.
Wait, so is this like a quiz? Can I fail this?
Oh, no. It's totally opinion. It's not a quiz, Just like a fun question of the day. So today, if you were transported to a fantasy world or woke up in one and you knew you had one day in a fantasy world, what would be at the top of your bucket list? So would it be to see magic in action somehow, some way?
No.
Would it be crashing a banquet or ball at like a castle, for like a royal banquet or ball? Or would it be to somehow, I just said that with a really weird accent. Somehow.
You're practicing for when you move to North Carolina.
That's right, a little twang in there. Somehow find a way to see a dragon.
Whoa.
Or other, which means you can say whatever if it's not one of those options.
So my choices are magic, banquet, dragon,
or what? Something else.
Other.
Yep.
Okay.
Now we got a lot of dragon.
I have to confess something, Chris. I already took the quiz.
So. Did you do it?
Yeah, I did.
You're the first one I've had on that's done it already.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. Usually people haven't done it, and I'm like, oh, so nice. All right, what did you choose?
I chose magic.
Nice.
Yeah, because I was tempted to choose dragon. I think it was Timothy.
Yeah.
But I thought, if I actually met a dragon, it would probably just like roast me and eat me. So
that's right.
A very brief and likely unpleasant experience.
Yeah.
Whereas magic, could be dangerous, but it could be beautiful. So definitely would instill a sense of wonder, and that's what fantasy is all about. So no magic, no fantasy. Let's do the magic.
I like it. Now, what kind of magic would you want to see? Like somebody getting into like a street fight with magic, or would you want to just see some nice, kind old wizard or something that would show you some magic tricks or something?
I like the second option. Yeah.
Me too.
Let me meet Gandalf or something like that.
Yes.
He can make his staff light up like a nightlight there.
Yes, there you go. Happy. That's all I need.
Maybe some fireworks.
Yes, I like it. So yeah, so far dragon has been the number one answer. I like Brian's here. He says, introduce the hot tub lifestyle to the fantasy world.
I think Rick Thunder took over Brian's channel there.
Oh, dang it. He's always taking over things.
Yeah.
Sir Thunder and the Whippets. I like it. Oh man. So yeah, that's good. I like that. I think I would probably do the same, because if I could see a dragon from afar, but then get to see magic up close, I think that would be ideal. I would want to see the dragon just fly by like an airplane way up in the sky.
We could do that.
Not close. For sure. Oh man. Let's see. I don't want to miss. but already overbooked. Josh was here. We had a great chat on Beast Friends Forever on Thursday. If anyone didn't see it, check that out.
Cool.
And then another awesome author, J.R. Carroll.
There's Joseph. I'll be talking to him tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yep.
I have his book, a couple of his books. I got to read them. I love those covers. They're so
cool.
Oh,
his covers are stellar.
Yes.
I have read his first book, and look at that cover.
I know. It's so cool.
Look at that.
It's amazing.
And I had actually, it's a video with talking with Joseph about this book on my channel. So yeah, and then I do have the other two. Might as well get those out as well. Look at these. So I think this is
the other ones too.
The second one.
Oh yeah, I got that one too.
Yeah, look at that. More Than a Gunslinger.
So cool.
And look at the third one.
Oh, I don't have that one yet. That looks sick.
More Than a God War.
More Than a God War. Oh, man.
Yep. And because of his last name being close to mine alphabetically, they're right next to mine on the shelf here.
Okay. So you do your books alphabetically, right?
Yep.
Now by genre or just complete alphabetical?
So what I have on my shelves behind me is all fantasy and science fiction. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I have alphabetical. The rest of my books are by subject.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. It's a good way to do it.
Yeah. This is for the channel, really.
Everything behind there. Yeah. I know. When we move, I think we're gonna rent first because we don't want to just jump into buying a house because I have 4 kids, so it's like if we find a house for all of us, it's gonna be pretty pricey. So I think we're gonna rent for a while, settle in, get the lay of the land. Yeah. So I'm probably not gonna have as much room for all of my books. So that's gonna be interesting.
Storage.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Storage.
Yes, for sure. I gotta research that so they stay safe. Because we love our books. We don't want anything to happen to them. For sure. All right. So I want to know, first of all, there's Christopher Navo just popped in.
Christopher. Hey, Christopher.
Hello.
Another author in the making.
Oh, yes. And here's another author that just popped in. Yeah, it does almost, doesn't it? It looks like our shelves are right by each other, almost.
It really does. Yeah.
That's pretty funny. I didn't notice that.
This is my. Oh, I see. I can't tell which way is which.
Oh yes.
My shelf, and then
I know. For a second, I thought I know. Oh, see, I just did it wrong way. Dang it! I told you I always mess that up.
So we talked about it.
We did.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna have a lot of questions that you probably answered a bajillion times, but you're just gonna have to answer them again.
Okay.
Oh, we just had a little writing royalty pop in.
Oh, look at
that. I know. Yes, I know. I was bummed. I was telling Philip before I ordered book 2 and 3 as soon as I finished book 1. They were supposed to come yesterday, but with all the weather across the country, it got pushed to today, and they're not coming till after 4. So just didn't make it in time. Well, I would have had the nice thing. I don't know if I could have fit my head in between though.
Perfectly fine. You got to get those beautiful Wars of Light and Shadow books.
I do. I know. I got them right over here. They're so beautiful covers.
Talk about wonderful books.
I know.
And it's just not fair. It's not right that one person could be so talented to write.
I know. And write
so beautifully and
draw things like this.
Do the art as well. Come on.
It's insane. It's
What's
not
the deal
not
with
fair.
I think the machine that distributes talent got stuck when it was her turn in line or something.
Yeah.
Because
yeah, it got on auto repeat, and she just kept getting all the skills.
She got all the stuff. Yeah.
So true. So true. Oh man. E.L. Montague's here, and we got a lot of awesome people in here. This is
look at that.
Popping. Hey, that's fine, man. Right away. That's awesome. All right, so we have 2 tracks that I want to go down. One is your reading journey and booktube journey and how that all started. But I think I want to start with the book because that's just the most exciting thing going on right now. Josh Eats Books is here. What's up? Thanks for being here. I
think I just followed him on Instagram.
What is he on Instagram?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh man, yeah, I'm following him on most things, but I'm not with him on Instagram. I'll have to find him. I'm also excited about your broken binding edition. That's coming soon. It got shipped, so I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm a little jealous of our UK friends.
I know. I want to move to the UK right now so I can get my book.
I know. It's such a bummer that they should have sent it to you first somehow before they sent it to anybody else.
I mean, I'm so excited when I see a picture or, Sam Harrison did a little unboxing during his video yesterday. And I get so excited to see it. But then, of course, I'm like, where's my copy?
I know. It's my book.
Yeah.
Oh,
but no, I get it. They're in the UK, so it's a shorter distance.
It's a little easier,
for the book to travel. It has to come all the way over the Atlantic from the broken binding. So,
yep.
I get it. Mine's according to the mail service, mine's in New York City right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice. Oh man, that's awesome. It's getting close. It's very close to you then.
Not far. I could probably run in there and grab it.
Just go get it. Oh man, we got another awesome author that popped in here.
There he is,
Von Roycroft.
I'm getting out the books, so why not?
Yeah.
And you know what's going to happen soon? So Von Roycroft is the author of the Sundered Nation trilogy, which begins with the Severing Sun.
Love that cover.
It is such a great cover.
It is.
And then proceeds with Bold Ascension.
I love that one too.
And this is one of my favorite indie fantasy trilogies ever. And the third book, Destiny's Doom, is coming out very soon.
Ooh.
And we're gonna have a cover reveal. We're gonna have a cover reveal on my channel during an episode of The Weeks That Were.
Nice. That's exciting.
Yep.
Awesome announcement. You heard it here first or second.
Yep. And I'm so excited. That is a book that I'm really a release I'm so excited for, among others, this year.
I've got that. I've got the first book from him too. It's somewhere on the shelf by me, but I'm excited to read it. Now I'm even more because I feel like everything you talk about, you love. Once I read it, I'm like, yep, I love it too. So.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about historical fantasy, that series is, for me, a perfect example of what you can do with historical fantasy. It's the Goths meet the Romans, but in a fantasy world. And it's done so well with a complex main character. March 18, there you go.
Yeah. That's my birthday. I gotta catch up so I can buy it for my birthday.
Nice. That's the universe speaking right there to you, Chris.
It's telling me I must read it.
Yep.
Oh man, that's awesome. All right, so and yes, Josh, they're amazing. All right, so I want to start with the book. So I know this was a labor of love over your lifetime. So just tell me a little bit. Let's go way back. Tell me when the seed of Way of Edan first started, and when you first decided to start writing it, and how soon you really thought about finishing it and publishing it and all of that kind of stuff.
Well, how much time do you have, Chris? Because this took two decades.
We got as long as you want to talk.
I mean, I'm now embarrassed because we have Jenny Wertz in the chat who took 50 years. So more than twice what I took. Of course, she has 11 books out of it.
Right. Yeah.
For Wars of Light and Shadow. But 20 years is a long time still, I think. And I started, well, you could say I really wanted to become a fantasy writer when I was 12 and read Return of the King and experienced catharsis at the end of that and felt this incredible sense of like a calling. It was like I found what I wanted to do with my life, which was, yes, I want to do this someday. If I could do this, what this man just did to me reading these books, that's what I want to do. And so, I ended up taking the scenic route and probably being a little bit too literal about trying to follow Tolkien by going to graduate school, being a medievalist, learning Old English and Old Norse and all of that. Because I thought to be a fantasy writer, you have to learn a bunch of dead languages, right? And all that.
Yeah.
So I even got tweed jackets, and and eventually I figured out that not only do I need to know how to read Old English, but I probably should know how modern fantasy is written, and I had to read.
Important.
It's kind of know what's going on in the
Yeah.
genre today and all that.
Yeah.
So I am very much inspired by old stuff like Beowulf and the Norse sagas, and there's a lot of nods in there in the Edan trilogy.
Oh yeah,
those ancient stories, but at the same time, I hope it feels modern enough that it's relatable for a modern fantasy reader. But I actually got going in 2004. It was the summer of 2004. I drew a map and I devised about 100 pages worth of history and mythology and languages and all kinds of stuff. I was world building, and I had a blast doing that. And of course, not everybody needs to do that. Some people just want to sit down and write a story, which is great.
Right. Yeah.
I'm a planner. So then I devised this huge, long outline about where the story would go. And of course, in the process of writing the story, sometimes the story itself calls to you and says, you need to go here. And I didn't, you didn't expect to go there. Sometimes a character pulls you aside and forces you on a path you didn't realize you were going to be going on. So
so you allowed that to happen. You didn't stay within that plotting structure. You got a little pantser in you then.
A little pantser in me. You have to listen when the story talks to you.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and I'm glad I did, because some of the best moments in the trilogy are those moments when you're in this creative space, you're in the zone, and it's almost really like a voice speaking to you and saying, go here, or you just get this sudden vision and you realize, oh, I better, you're just hurrying, tapping the keys to try to catch up with this vision that's pulling you along. So it's a really wonderful process. I think as anyone who writes, all the people in the chat who are writing, who've written, can tell you, I think probably have experienced similar things. But I worked on it for years, and actually by 2007, I had a draft of what's now books 1 and 2.
Okay.
And just kind of tweaked that for a while, and I made an attempt at some point a little after that to find an agent, because I wanted to try to publish traditionally. I got an agent in basically the beginning of 2012 is when I found an agent. And the agent looked at what was one book and said, this is great. I think I want to take you on, but this is not one book. It's 2 books. And so from that was born, which hand do I need here? The Way of Edan and the Prophet of Edan, right?
Nice, we're done.
So you don't have no idea how hard that was to make my brain do that.
You did it. You're right.
So I mean, I had a really good time, a very positive experience working with that agent. And by the time I had written the 3rd book in the trilogy, it was time for him to make a big pitch. And unfortunately for me, by the time he was ready to make that big pitch, it was shortly before or during the pandemic. And it was already the case that traditional publishing was struggling a lot. And I don't want to knock anybody there, because I know that people in traditional publishing they're good people. They're trying to put out great stories. Yeah. But it's not, I think in some ways it's broken, and it's a product of a lot of things, of bigger market forces, changes because of technology, the internet, what have you. There's more pressure, I think, more financial pressure on publishing houses than ever before, which forces them to make, it puts them in a corner, essentially. So I think you see them taking fewer chances, going with trends much more than they used to, not really, perhaps, at least this is my perception from the outside, maybe not fostering as many newer authors to, help them along, when taking a chance and help them along in a career, so much as going with a sure bet. So anyway, it took about a year actually for my agent to get responses from the publishing houses, just to say, okay, we got your submission.
Good grief.
More than it was crazy. And that's the point. That's the point. And I'd already been thinking, what about self-publishing? Right. And that was a point where I can remember very distinctly. Yeah. After a year of waiting, and then them just saying, okay, we got your submission. That's when I was like, I don't think this is going to work. No. I don't want to be hostage to this industry that is seemingly dysfunctional in some ways. And again, it's not any individual's fault. It's just there's big market forces. So
yeah,
I had a conversation with my agent, and he agreed. And he said, yeah, what you're writing now isn't exactly what publishers are trying to push anyway.
yeah.
I'm writing epic fantasy,
Right.
With a very traditional, in some ways, vibe. So
yeah,
that's not what they were doing. But so, yeah, we had a very pleasant conversation, and I decided at that point, go for it. So in 2023, I published all 3 books. After having, by the way, a big step I need to mention is working with my developmental editor.
Okay.
So somewhere after 2020, between 2020 and 2023, when I published, I worked with AP Canavan,
nice. Yeah.
whom I hired as a developmental editor. And he helped me to make these stories, I think, even better.
Okay.
So that was a very important step for me.
Nice.
So yeah, after that, it was just getting the artist and the cover designer, Kira Gregory, the artist, the cover designer, Jack Shepard, who also did the map for me and did the map as well for the special edition, the color version that you're about to see when you get it. Yeah. Jack Shepard's just brilliant. If any of you out there are looking for a map maker, Jack Shepard, he goes by Tall Shepard. You'll find him. Yeah, Tall Shepard. If you ever need a map, he's been so responsive, so fantastic to work with.
Nice.
So I've just I've been very fortunate in the people that I've met through this journey. And that was something I didn't realize back in 2004 when I was drawing that map on my own.
Everything that would come from it, right?
Yeah, just the friendships, the people, the community, all of that has been such a blessing, so meaningful to me. And to have an audience now for the books, people who, like yourself, who have read it, and maybe some of them even resonated with it. That's what it's all about. That connection through story is one of the most beautiful things I've witnessed in my life. And I feel so privileged to be, where I am now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, did you ever, from that time when you thought about self-publishing to when you finally did, how did you know when it was the right time to finally pull the trigger? Did you ever feel like, I think I'm ready, and then put it off? Or did you feel like you were always doing steps until 2023 when you finally pulled the trigger?
Yeah, it was that when my agent finally was getting some acknowledgement that he had submitted the books. And there were a couple eventually who said, yeah, this is really great, but it's not what we're looking for right now, because it was all the rage was like cozy fantasy, romantasy, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So at that point, when I just said to myself, okay, I must self-publish, is a vivid feeling in my mind, Chris. It was such a feeling of liberation. It was a feeling of, yes, this is the right path for me. And I suddenly had control. I wasn't waiting for someone else to rescue me and do this for me. I had control over this whole process. And I decided I'm going to put all 3 books out in 1 year. And I'm going to have stained glass windows on the covers. That was it. I didn't know that right then, but that was a decision I made, a creative decision I could make because I'm self-publishing. And I'm so glad that it came that way because, man, I got to tell you, it was such a liberating feeling. And I have never once regretted diving into this. Everything was ready anyway. The story was ready. I just had to learn how to do it on the different platforms like Amazon KDP or Ingram Spark or whatever. And get the right people to help me and all that. So, never once regretted it. It's been such a great journey. Yeah, the only regret might be that I waited a little too long, even. I should have done it sooner, but yeah.
I think a lot of the authors in the chat agree with that feeling of liberation. Timothy and Vaughn and even John is saying they felt the same way when they finally decided to go self indie pub. So. And I also agree with John and Brian that it should be on bookshelves and it is worth reading 100%. And you have the ebooks on sale, they're basically free.
Starting tomorrow. Yeah, I'm doing it to celebrate the release of the Broken Binding Special Edition of the Way of Edan. There's a sale starting tomorrow, and it's going until the 31st. So 8 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow till the 31st at midnight Eastern time.
Nice.
All 3 books are each 99 cents. or 99 pence if you're over in the UK.
Yep. Nice. That's a steal for sure.
Yep, the ebooks. Yep.
I don't want this question from Janny Wirtz to get
oh my goodness.
So she said in the last volume, so no spoilers because I'm not there yet, but she said you inserted some everyday side characters caught in the gears of war. Were you influenced by Malazan in this regard?
Yeah, so it's a great question. The fact is, I had not read Malazan when I wrote the first 2 books. This one.
Okay. Yeah, you did it again. You got it.
I almost did it right. When I wrote the first 2 books, I had not read Malazan. The third book, I had read Malazan before writing the 3rd book. And I don't know if it was conscious or not, but what I'll tell you is that reading Stephen Erickson's Malazan Book of the Fallen liberated my imagination and made me realize, oh, wait, you can do this in fantasy? You can focus on the trauma of a seemingly minor player and make that minor player into actually somebody really important. Wow. Okay. And I probably unconsciously imbibed that, and I think that would explain the difference between the first 2 books and the 3rd more than anything else. Though I had started to read other fantasy as well. But I think it was Erickson's books that really liberated me and made me realize, oh, okay, you don't have to stick to the rules, Right. You can do different. And I think most people who've read the trilogy would agree that book 3 takes some risks, that it is the most unconventional of the 3. And that was just, had to get permission from Stephen Erickson to do that, I guess. But yeah, that's the difference in my mind, at least.
So she definitely noticed the shift. So yeah.
I mean, she's perceptive. So she would notice something like that. But yeah. Also, cool. I was in my 40s when I wrote Return to Edan, and I was in my 30s when I wrote The Way of Edan, The Prophet of Edan. And I think Return probably does reflect the mindset of a person, closer to middle age. Whereas I was a younger person when I initially wrote The Way of Edan and The Prophet of Edan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. So I want to talk about the covers because I think they're awesome. So how did that come about? Was there a different cover at first that will never see the light of day, or was that your vision from the start? Was kind of that?
Well, the honest story is I got this artist who's a dear friend of our family through my older daughter, and initially, the drafts were kind of now. This artist, Kira Gregory, is wonderful, a wonderful painter, but tends to paint with very how do I put this? Very thick brush strokes. Has done a lot of with like wood cutting, and has a style that evokes a kind of a wood cutting and that kind of thing. And Kira came up with a few ideas and stuff, and we just kind of went back and forth a little bit. And then finally I realized, wait, you're really good at this kind of like thicker, kind of style. Yeah. And this is a story about a holy war. What if we did stained glass windows? And I'm so proud of the fact that I came up with this idea.
Nice.
Of stained glass windows.
That's impressive.
That's all I did. Everything else is Kira and Jack Shepard. So I have to take the little credit I can. And I said, what if you made it a stained glass window? And Kira went with it. And the result is the covers that you see. And I'm really pleased with how they came out. And I think that, again, that's a bit of a risk that I could be dead wrong, but I don't think a traditional publisher would have gone with these covers because they don't necessarily conform to every expectation these days about epic fantasy. Yeah. And yet I feel they're so distinct and they kind of pop out.
They do. They look so good together.
I feel like that. I love seeing them together.
Yes.
Right. With my big head in between.
your head is just the right size. It fits just right in there.
Yeah.
It looks good. It looks good. And Janny said, I mean, I've seen some too. There's some copycat stained glass covers out there.
I didn't know. I actually have been seeing more stained glass window covers.
Yeah, you did it, man.
Yeah.
broke the
Dr. Fantasy trendsetter. You heard it here. Now
Ooh.
everybody's going to start wearing tweed.
Oh man, I thought about going to try to find one somewhere to wear during this, but I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do that.
Just go to a thrift store and some like old guy must have died recently and donated his, some of his old coats. So
yeah.
That's where I got half of mine.
Yeah. I gotta go to that same one then.
Yeah.
So how did it feel when after you self-published it, it was out there, when you started seeing books popping up in people's videos or pictures on social media? Like, that had to just feel amazing. Like, was it surreal for a little while? Is it still surreal? Like, have you not gotten used to it yet? I imagine it's always going to feel just wild.
I mean, it is such a fulfilling feeling when you see somebody who has read your story, and it's a perilous adventure to try to take this vision that's in here and somehow put it through, this nowadays through this keyboard into these symbols on a page that, will transfer hopefully into somebody else's brain as they read them into something like the vision that you began with. It's a perilous quest to try to impart that.
Yeah.
And when it happens and you realize that when somebody talks about your book in a way that it's clear that they got something that you were trying to do, it is the most fulfilling feeling in the world. It really is. It's fantastic. And the cool thing too is that sometimes a reader will find something else in your story that you didn't even realize was there.
Oh yeah. And
you'll say to yourself, wait, that's actually even better than I thought, or what I intended, so cool. That happens sometimes too. I'm very sure that if we were able to somehow like exhume and resurrect Shakespeare and show him all the stuff people have said about his plays, he'd be like, holy crap. Okay.
Right. That's so true. Right? Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, and John said you on your video earlier, you gave him that surreal moment when he got to see.
I mean, I'm really so pleased. It is a little bit nerve-wracking when you read a friend's book.
Yeah.
John is a friend, even though he keeps calling me Dr. Chase. John is a friend. I'm gonna give you homework, John. But anyway, you wonder, oh my God, what if it's garbage? And what am I gonna do? And I am so pleased that this book is excellent, that Discovery is really fantastic. And people who have never heard of Talking Story or John or Amy or Jacob are going to love this book because it's an excellent book, So I'm excited. I was grabbed from the beginning. Such a strong beginning. And
That's good.
Like, whoa, this is really good. I'm going to have a good time reading this.
Nice. Yes. I cannot wait. Yeah, I've heard such good things.
It's really different. It's really different.
Yeah. A little mashup of a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Which is cool. Speaking of good beginnings, your book had an awesome beginning. I mean, the prologue was great. And then even just that first chapter, like when you're following that one character and you think, like, I started thinking, oh, I wonder who he's going to be in this book. I wonder how big of a role he'll play,
Yeah.
That was well done, because then I got invested in that character so quick because you did such a good job with it. And then it was like, oh, never mind.
Yeah. So I wanted to one person who recently read the trilogy and I thought did a really good job reviewing it was Michael Cronk from Cronk, the Book Guide. And one of the things he emphasized was the realism, particularly in regards to the violence.
Yes.
And that was very conscious on my part. That I felt, and there are different approaches to this. So I'm not saying this is, one is better than the other. I love Tolkien, but in Lord of the Rings, the violence is certainly idealized in ways, or it's glossed over, or and he's not the only one. And he's a man who saw violence in his life. He was in World War I.
Yep.
And that was a very deliberate choice on his part. I think Silmarillion, you get a little more into the that's pretty grimdark, actually, in some ways.
Yeah.
It's not really grimdark, so please don't quote me on that. But it leans more in that direction. But I wanted this book to actually look at violence as realistically as possible.
Yeah.
Because there are consequences in the world when someone says, my beliefs are more important than yours. My beliefs are more valid than yours. And if you don't agree with me, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
And people die over these things. And I want it to feel horrible.
Right.
I want it to feel like something really wrong is going on here. When someone commits violence with the conviction, and this is something I'm fascinated by, like, how do you arrive at the place where you believe that your beliefs are more important than someone else's life? And where you feel that you are doing right by committing violence against that person.
Yeah.
How do you get into that mindset? You know, I find that.
I know. I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want the reader to understand, to feel that pain and to feel that anguish and that wrongness. So, yeah.
Well, you definitely did. I felt all of that. Well done. Mission accomplished. It was awesome. And I love the dark stuff. So how did that, being someone who's very, like I said, just super nice, very kind, friendly. I'm sure when people read some of the stuff in your books, they were like, whoa, Philip can go that dark? Because I hear that it gets even darker, the books 2 and 3, right? There's some darker parts, which I'm excited about.
Yeah. I mean, book 2. Okay. So book 1 is really in many ways the lead up to the conflict.
Yeah.
It is in more sort of, I guess, Campbellian terms. It's the departure. You know, it's the departure. And then book 2 is the kind of, in a way, the climax. It's the transcendence, I guess you could say, but it is the point of the most conflict, you know, and it's the war. It's the holy war at its height is book 2. And then I do something I think pretty different. Again, book 3 is the one where I take some risks, and I'm looking at the aftermath, because a lot of stories, a lot of fantasy stories, let's be honest, end when the hero makes the great sacrifice and saves the day and the conflict is ended and everybody's happy and the trees bloom and everything is fine, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's actually not what happens in the real world. In the real world, there are consequences to violence, and there's a lot of healing that needs to be done. And how do you achieve that healing?
Right.
And so I wanted to look at that and say, okay, let's take a deeper look at this part of the story that seems to be neglected all the time. And what happens to the hero when they give it all? They're not going to be the same.
Right.
They're not going to come back from all of that horror and go right back to where they were. There are going to be consequences to what happened to them, and they're going to be different in some ways. They're going to suffer from, you know, trauma and PTSD and whatnot, you know, and then the world doesn't just, you know, go back to the way it was.
Yeah.
You know, often in the real world, what happens with conflict is it breeds more conflict. That violence begets violence in a horrific cycle. And it takes somebody heroic or a group of heroic people to say, no more. We are going to forgive. We are going to move on. We are going to affirm life rather than keep trying to pull each other down, you know? So how do you achieve that? That's what I'm looking at in the 3rd book. How do you get back to compassion? Yeah. Right? And after so many atrocities, is redemption and forgiveness, are they possible?
Yeah, for sure. That's good. I'm excited. I cannot wait to get into the book 2 and especially into book 3 for sure. So tell me a little bit about what you have planned next for the world of this trilogy. I know you're working on some things. And then do you have things planned not in this world, or for the foreseeable future, are you staying in this world? Just tell us a little bit about what you're cooking up.
I know
you can't.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm happy to share what I'm doing. I like Jormenland a lot. I spent some time creating this place, so I'd like to stay in it for a while. And I do have a sequel to the Edan Trilogy that is just about done. It's called Wild Darkness Gathers.
Ooh,
And it takes place 16 years or so after the trilogy ends.
very cool.
Yeah, so there are much shorter chapters. It's a shorter story than the trilogy. It's only about 90,000 words right now, which is, the Way of Edan is 165,000 words. And the Return to Edan is the longest. It's 240,000 words.
Okay.
So we're talking about a much shorter book.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of an experiment for me. I'm actually having fun with a more streamlined style of storytelling. Okay. I don't know. I just thought, let's try this, see if I can do this. Some of the writers I admire tremendously, like Ursula Le Guin, can do so much with so few words. So I gave myself a challenge, and I probably would never be able to write like Ursula Le Guin, but I am having a blast with this style of storytelling right now, and I hope there's this little bit of you that thinks, oh wow, this is working great, this is going to be awesome, and then there's this other voice in your head that's like, are you crazy? This is garbage. What are you doing? So we'll see what people think, but I'm loving this story. It feels right to me right now, and I will have my developmental editor look at it though, and see what he thinks, and he'll probably tell me if I'm being an idiot. He enjoys doing that.
That's helpful. That's helpful. There's someone that doesn't mind, right?
Yep. So yeah, and then we'll see. But I'm pretty confident I'll have this one out by mid-year.
Nice.
Mid-year. So by June or so.
Okay.
And I do have the cover, which I think I'll be revealing in the next few weeks.
Ooh, exciting!
Yeah.
All right, awesome. We had a few people pop in. Want to shout them out real quick. Matt from Go Read Books is here.
Hey, there's Matt. All right.
Heck yeah. And then we've got, let me go back up. Lucas is here. I'm glad you caught one, man. Thanks for being here.
Hello, Lucas.
We've got Stacy Paul is here.
Oh.
Yes, it is. I wish we had it in our hands so we could hold it up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stacy. I appreciate that deeply, and I'm excited to get to work on the Prophet of Edan and start going back and forth with Patrick about which parts of the story might be a good piece of art for the interior art and all that. So
that's got to be awesome. PL Stewart is here.
There's PL.
He is awesome. I've got to read his book too.
Oh, I love A Drowned Kingdom, and I have to follow up this year. Come hell or high water, I'm going to follow up at some point this year with the second book in the Drowned Kingdom saga. Which, here we go. I was holding up books earlier, so
yeah, that's right.
PL's book, A Drowned Kingdom.
That's a great cover too.
I loved this book. True epic fantasy with a voice that I find so immersive. It pulls me in a way that I love. I love it when an author can handle a slightly archaic style of writing that evokes another world. And I can't wait to follow up with The Last of the Atalanteans.
I love that one too.
I have two of his other books behind me there. But PL's story with the central character being so initially unlikable as well. Yeah, I mean, the central character is not somebody you're going to like very much.
Okay.
And PL very skillfully introduces some very important themes through that character.
Okay.
So yeah, really good stuff.
Really got to get on it.
Yep.
A couple more people came in. Our good friend Andrew from Andrew's Wizardly Reads.
Hello, Andrew.
Wonderful beards. You are correct.
That's true, actually.
Good-looking beards.
I think we're both beasting it here, Chris.
We are. I know. Yeah. You are definitely an honorary bearded beast for sure. I agree. We got another author that came in, Joshua Walker.
Yes, Josh. All right. Hello, Josh.
Yes, Josh.
He's another one whose books I want to get to.
Yes, I can hold this one up because I can reach it. That beautiful.
Oh, that is a gorgeous cover.
I know. That's a pretty one.
Love that.
For sure. Thanks for being here, Josh. So let me make sure nobody else new popped in. All right. So I want to ask you about. You were just talking about how you're working on the new shorter book. Now, since you've created the novella, I got to get that one too. I have it on ebook. So you talked about how you're writing something shorter now, and since you already created all the lore and the world and everything's all set, so are you still plotting a lot with this one, or are you much more?
Oh no, yeah, I've had a complete draft for a long time.
Okay.
And I've just been editing and tweaking and fussing, and I will be once I'm satisfied, I'll hand it over to AP Canavan, and he'll say stuff to me in the way that he does. Only Professor Fire. He'll throw some fireballs my way.
Yeah.
And then I'll clean it up, dust the ashes off my tweed, and make it as good as I can, and then it'll be ready after that. So, yeah,
exciting. That is awesome. Tell me a little bit about the whole broken binding process. Like, how did that all start? And I bet it was like a whirlwind when it all happened.
It's a dream come true to have this collaboration with the Broken Binding. And I always thought I deliberately did not do a hardcover version of the books. I just did the paperback, thinking that in some way, shape, or form, I would like to do a special edition someday if the books did well enough or something like that. You know, I didn't feel justified in doing a hardcover right off the bat, and that maybe I'm wrong or right in that, but I thought in my head maybe a special edition someday. So I was saving it for that. And what happened was Matt from the Broken Binding, the founder of the Broken Binding, I don't know why he picked it up or how exactly, where he heard about it, but he read The Way of Edan. And he tweeted about it, that he was reading it and enjoying it. And I thought, wow, that's awesome. So, he and I got in touch. And that's really it. It's nothing that complicated.
That's awesome.
And we talked about it for a while. And then at a certain point, I got to work with Patrick. I started to work with Patrick because Patrick does the art direction. And they asked me from the get-go, are there artists that we work with, or maybe some even we don't work with, that you would like to do the art? And I already had seen Renee Egner's art, and he was the one I requested. And I feel so honored that his art is on not only the cover, but the four full color, full spread art pieces inside the book as well.
Oh, I can't wait to see them live in person. They look so pretty through the screen. Can't wait to see them.
Same here.
I know. You're still waiting.
Yeah. But then also Patrick suggested Peng Lu as well for the black and white. And that was an awesome choice. I'm really happy with the four black and white interior illustrations as well. So, I mean, it's art. What these people do is art.
Yes.
Right. It's not just an illustration. It's a work of art. And to have your story graced with such a beautiful realization of your vision, it's the thrill of my life, really. It's just so fantastic. Couldn't be happier, really, with the way things panned out.
That's awesome. Very cool. All right. So I have a lot of questions about your reading journey and booktube journey, but it has already been an hour, so I want to be gracious with your time. So I don't know if you have more time or if you need to go.
I don't know. I mean, I've been blabbing so much; it feels like 5 minutes to me.
Oh, good. Well, good. I just didn't know if you had somewhere to be. I didn't want to just keep you. So because I want to keep going. But
let's go, Chris. If you have time, I do.
Sweet. All right. Good. I definitely have time. All right. So before we switch gears and go to your reading and booktube journey and all that, I like to try to think of a little brain break in between when I switch gears like that. So this is actually the first time I've done this with anybody. I got these 1 minute mystery cards that came in like a book box. So you have like a mystery, and some clues, and you're supposed to be able to solve it in a minute. So we're gonna see if you can solve it in a minute.
This is where you're gonna see Dr. Fantasy do a face plant.
Yep. All right. So everybody in the chat, you go ahead and help us out. So I just pulled this one out randomly. Okay. All right. So you ready?
I guess.
Right, after I read it, I'll hold it up so that you can see it.
Okay.
All right. All right. So there's 3 parts: the case, the mystery, and then the clues. Okay. So here comes the case. Chat, help out. Feel free to let us know what you think. All right. So the case: Fred is allergic to most animals and avoids them whenever possible. Okay. Nonetheless, he owns a small mouse with which he spends hours every day. He often holds his mouse and pets it, even though he doesn't love it. So the mystery: why isn't Fred allergic to his mouse, and where does he keep it? All right, the clues. Man, see, this is why you're the smartest guy I know. Look at that. There's the answer. I didn't even have to tell him the clues. Fred isn't allergic to his mouse because it's a computer mouse. Well done. Well done. Andrew got it too.
Andrew got it too, yeah. And Andrew was asking me if I have read Andrew Meredith's
Collation Saga.
Yeah, Collation Saga. Yeah. I have not yet, Andrew. I would love to get to it. I hope to get to it. It's just that when I became a judge for SPFBO, that increased my reading obligations tenfold. So I have to read. I read a lot, and I love them too. I'm so privileged to be a judge, but it means that I'm reading. The first year I read, I was a judge for SPFBO. I read 39 self-published fantasies that year. Wow. That was just the self-published fantasies that I read.
Right.
So suddenly all these wonderful books that I had, including Andrew's book, that Andrew sent me, by the way, and thank you for that. I still remember that. I haven't been able to get to a lot of them yet, and I feel terrible about that. But at the same time, I feel good about being a judge for SPFBO, and I feel like I'm doing my little bit here for the community in that role. But it means that all those other books that are not SPFBO, I've had to kind of put on the back burner. So.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to ask you about that eventually, so maybe we'll start there before we go too deep into the reading thing. But how did you get into the SPFBO stuff? How did all that start up for you?
Oh, well, the easy answer to that one is Mark Lawrence asked me. And when one of your heroes asks you to do something, you're like, yes, I'd love to. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Mark Lawrence's books, and have been even before I started my channel. I love the Broken Empire series, and his the next trilogy after that is the Red Queen's War trilogy. It is one of the most underrated trilogies out there. It is absolutely beautiful, and it's hysterical. The narrator is a first-person narrator, Jalen, but he's absolutely ridiculous. And then there's the Book of the Ancestor, which up until the Library trilogy, Book of the Ancestor was my favorite Mark Lawrence trilogy. But now the Library trilogy, which the third book is coming out this year, one of my most anticipated, along with Vaughn's book and with Abercrombie's.
The Devils.
The Devils. Those are my 3 most anticipated books of 2025. I think. Awesome. The released in 2025. So yeah, I even forgot where we started with that question.
We were just talking about SPFBO, how it started for you.
So Mark Lawrence asked me. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, sure.
Oh, man.
And I'm trying my best with the platform that I've built over the last 5 years to support my fellow authors. And that's really important to me. So that's why I didn't hesitate to say yes to Mark Lawrence, even though it's a ton of work, it's a ton of reading, and there's no immediate compensation for that. Every judge in there is reading a ton of books, and they're doing so out of a desire to be supportive to indie fantasy.
Right. Yeah.
And the vast majority of the authors understand that, and they're very grateful and kind and understanding, and you get the occasional author who's mad at you because you didn't make their book a finalist or whatever. But
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, but other than that, it's a very rewarding thing. So
it's very cool.
Yeah, and I'm privileged to be a judge for SPFBO, and and I got a team of great people that around me for the second year, because reading 39 self-published fantasy in 1 year is a lot.
Yeah.
So with this team now, I read. I guess I'm down to 14 because I read the other 9 finalists.
That's still a lot, but that's way better.
Yeah, that's much more manageable considering all my other commitments I have for my channel. It's an intense amount of reading. Actually.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So yeah, I mean, I'm glad to be doing it, but yeah, and it does make me feel good to be playing that role and supporting my fellow authors in that way. And yeah,
that's awesome. And yeah, I loved Prince of Thorns. I'm almost done with book 2. I need to finish that up, and I've got all his books. I bought them all because I love Prince of Thorns so much. So I love that you love his books too, because I feel like too many people jump off when they read just part of Prince of Thorns and they don't get the whole story, you know? And I think it's just so good. I love it.
You know who made a great video recently about Broken Empire is Samwise.
Oh yeah.
He made I highly recommend his video. Yeah, he's on the Broken Empire trilogy. And I think he got it. He understood, I think, in a way that it makes sense to me anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Very cool. A couple more people hopped in. Just want to shout out quick. Mark at Avid Book Junkie. What's up? Thanks for being here.
Hello, Mark.
And where'd it go? Tim McKay. It happens. He misses the notifications sometimes. We're glad you're here though, my friend. He's got he did a new cover for his book. I don't think it's within grabbing distance, but his new cover looks great for his book, so I'm excited for him as well. Now Andrew asked this, so I am curious. You've read Berserk, right? I feel like no, you haven't.
Nope.
Oh,
nope.
Wow. Okay.
So
I love it because I know you're really doing the One Piece, but
yeah,
you love Berserk.
So I've read this One Piece is my 6th manga, I think, series that I'm in the middle of One Piece, literally in the middle of it right now.
Yeah.
And once I'm done with that, I want to read Akira.
Oh yeah.
And after Akira, which is much shorter, I'm going to read Berserk. So it's on the TBR.
Nice.
I think there's a slight chance I'd start reading it late this year. But if not, next year I will be starting Berserk.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm excited for you to check it out because I just got into manga too. I've read a couple volumes of One Piece and I like it, but it's just so long. I haven't committed like you have. I need to, but I read like Chainsaw Man and Attack on Titan, Vinland Saga. Those ones really got me into it. And then I found Berserk, and I love it. It's so good. It's awesome. For sure. Let's see. So let's talk about your reading journey a little bit.
Okay.
So before we talk about when you decided to start BookTube and all that, I want to know way back when you were just little Philip with a little tweed jacket. You said when you were 12 you read Lord of the Rings, and that really got you into fantasy and stuff. But what other things, even before that, what were some really things that inspired you to become a lifelong reader, would you say, when you were young?
I did read one fantasy series before Lord of the Rings, and that was Lloyd Alexander's Chronicles of Prydain, which I loved as a kid. Gurgi and all that. And Taran the pig herder,
I've never read that one, but I've been recommended that one a lot to have my kids read and to check out myself. So it's always one that's been on my radar, but I never read it.
Yeah, I don't know back when I read it, there was no like YA or middle grade or whatever. Right. I don't know what it'd be categorized as. I
think it's like middle grade now. At least when I looked at it, it was like six to something, like 6th to 8th grade or something like that. I could be wrong.
Yeah. But anyway, that I remember reading that, and to be quite honest with you, I don't remember reading much before that, I know I read, but I was not as passionate about my reading until Tolkien. Really, just there's something about a certain point in your life where there's this spark, and boom, and that's when I became a reader. Really.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How did you pick it up for the first time? How did you decide to pick it up for the first time?
My father. Okay. Yeah,
nice.
he was a fantasy reader. He got me into Tolkien and Le Guin were my big, I think, influences when I was young. So the Earthsea books and also the Lord of the Rings and all that, everything Tolkien. I tried to read the Thomas Covenant books because my father was really into those too, by Stephen Donaldson.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I read the first one, Lord Fowl's Bane, but I think I was a little young for it.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think I was still in my teens when I tried it, and it didn't grab me then. I suspect if I read it now, which I'm going to do, at some point, I want to cover the Thomas Covenant series on my channel. I suspect I would love it at this point in my life.
Right.
So I think he's. I actually had the privilege of meeting him at one point. Okay. At ICFA back in 2022.
Okay.
I had dinner with him and Steven Erickson and
awesome.
AP Canavan and Jimmy Nuts was there as well.
Oh, nice.
Yep. And later, same conference, we met Joanna and Alan and Jenny Wirtz as well. Man.
Yeah.
So some wonderful people there.
Yeah.
And Stephen Donaldson has these wonderful essays about epic fantasy that I think everybody should read. And so, I want to follow up eventually. There's so many things we want to read.
I know. I know. So many good things out there. Because that series, the main character is like a leper, isn't he? Something like that? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. All right. So that one didn't resonate with you as much when you read it. So
not when I was young. I suspect I will when I read it again as an older person. I'm going to love it.
Okay. So then walk me through kind of your life of reading, and then when you decided to start your own booktube channel. How did you get to that point?
Yeah. Well, I had speaking of like a spark that ignites you in a way that it's almost inexplicable. When I was a junior in high school, I was a reader, but I read broadly. I read a lot of things, but I wasn't super passionate about learning per se until I had an AP history teacher who just absolutely inspired me. This was U.S. history, AP U.S. history. And at that point, I just wanted to read everything, and fiction, nonfiction. I just wanted to read and became a voracious reader. And read a lot of history and learned languages and traveled as well in order to prepare myself, because I always in the back of my head was I want to be a writer, And I read, but I always was returning. I would reread Tolkien every year. I would go back and
oh wow.
Yeah, I was a Tolkien nut, just rereading.
How many years did you reread it in a row?
I have no idea. So many.
I mean, that's a beast.
I don't even know how many times I read Lord of the Rings.
Oh man, that many times you just lost track.
I lost track. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, I read, of course, the Silmarillion and the Hobbit and Unfinished Tales and all that too. But at a certain point, I also realized that I needed to expand and read more. And so some of the first authors I started to read in that vein, and this is still prior to BookTube, were George R. R. Martin, when his series was starting to blow up, A Song of Ice and Fire. And then a little later, probably Mark Lawrence and Joe Abercrombie.
Nice.
And a little later than that, I tried Robin Hobb's Farseer trilogy. And only recently did I actually finish reading the entirety of The Realm of the Elderlings. But and I love it now. It's a top 3 series for me.
Oh, man.
I love what Robin Hobb does.
I got to start it. I've got the first 3, and I got to read it this year because I've been wanting to for a long time.
Yep.
The assassin elf just popped in.
There's the assassin elf. Watch out, everybody.
Thanks for being here.
Flying.
Oh man, right, for sure. I guess real quick before I have you go on, John asked a good question. I know you mentioned the shoot, the series after Broken Empire by Mark Lawrence, but what would be another one besides that?
Besides the Red Queen's War trilogy?
Yeah, Red Queen's War. That's yeah.
Well, my
if you need to take a drink, you can too. I feel like every time you go to take a drink, I ask you a question.
Well, it's a chance for me to show off my mug too.
There's nothing in there. It's just an empty one. That's a good screenshot right there. That the little wink and eyebrow raise. That was good.
Yeah. Underrated fantasy. Well, until recently, I would have said The Wars of Light and Shadow because it is one of the greatest achievements in the genre. And there weren't enough people reading it, but I feel like we're making a difference here on BookTube in our community, that this series is beginning to get the recognition that it deserves. So that's one for sure. I think we still need to keep that momentum. We need to keep going. So I'm in my read along with the Assassin Elf there, and with AP, and I know that John and Brian and a bunch of other people are beginning their huge read along, and I think that is the best thing. And there are other people actually who are even ahead of AP and Joanna and myself. People like Jared from the Fantasy Thinker.
Oh that's true. And Varsha from Reading by the Rainy Mountain. And so there's a group out there that they're ahead of us. And then you have people who are champions of Wars of Light and Shadow, like P.L. Stewart. And Blaze from Under the Radar SFF. And Chibipo, and so there are people who preceded us, but I think it's great that this series is beginning to get a little bit of what it deserves, and I want to see it get even more. I agree. So you were talking about some of the books that really spoke to you and sparked you as a reader. So when did you first discover this whole BookTube thing existed, and when did you decide to turn the camera around and start making your own stuff?
So I did everything completely backwards. As usual in my life, I stumbled into this. I didn't know about BookTube at all. I had been teaching a fantasy novels course, which was
that's awesome.
Something I created at my college. And
nice.
Due to and that course really did thrive for several years, and I loved it. I loved teaching that class. But there was a certain point where there were some decisions made at the state level and by our own administration, and which basically spelled the end for that course. Because it had nowhere to go. Students couldn't put it anywhere. So that it died, really a very swift death. But I refused to acknowledge that it was dead, and I tried to entice people in. And I thought, what can I do to make this course more interesting, or just to get people in? And I thought, I knew nothing about social media. When I say nothing, I mean really zero. And I thought, well, kids these days, they like that social media stuff. Maybe if I started a YouTube channel about fantasy, it could sort of, I don't know, sex up the course a little bit, And I bet you, I thought listen, Chris, I even said to myself, I bet you nobody's even done this before. Like, I bet nobody's got a YouTube channel about fantasy literature. So this was 2020. This was the beginning of 2020. And
right before COVID.
I actually started my channel before COVID became COVID. It actually was probably already circulating and people didn't know it. Before we knew COVID had arrived, I started my channel. February 9 of 2020 was my first video. February 9 of 2020. So I didn't know COVID was happening. So I just decided, I'll make a few videos about some of my favorite series. And I could use those videos for my course, and maybe even a few people from, outside of my course might find the videos and could join in the conversation or whatever. So I made a series of videos, why so and so is among the best of fantasy, and that became my sort of cheesy tagline. The best. That's where that came from. Yeah. It's like why Malazan Book of the Fallen is among the best of fantasy.
Okay. So it started early then.
That's what I did. That's what I did. And actually, as cheesy and stupid as that sounds,
sounds awesome.
It was probably a fairly good way to start a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And the first one that actually kind of took off was the one on Malazan.
Okay.
And that's my first, community that I really got in touch with on his channel isn't around anymore, but Iskar Jarek was a Malaz tuber who really brought a lot of people together. And he was one of the first people to reach out to me and welcome me. And that's something I've tried to imitate to this day, is to be very welcoming to newer channels and meet new people. And I hope I've done that to some degree.
When I first made like my first video, I didn't think I'd get any comments, any views, anything. And when I saw some people watch it and a couple of people say like, "Oh, welcome," I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." And then all of a sudden I get the alert that you did it. I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "That's crazy."
Yeah,
that's so nice. Well, first I had to make sure. Wait, is this like, is there a weird spelling? Is this actually a bot, or is like somebody pretending to be Philip Chase? But it was you. So yeah, you definitely do that, man. And I appreciate it. You have no idea. That made my day. So
well, the cool thing is, the people that you see making these videos and inspiring you, I've had that experience too, where I get the chance to talk to them and they become friends, and that's, again, this whole community thing has been such a blessing in so many ways. So the privilege is mine, really.
So I think that's cool how you started it. So many people do it because they're watching it, and
I had no idea. I didn't know Daniel Green. I didn't know Murphy Napier. I didn't know anybody doing this. And of course, when I first started, I think I at least had the presence of mind to write fantasy YouTube channel or something in there and see what happened. I probably saw Daniel Green and I thought, oh, well, there's somebody trying this. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So,
it's not just me.
I didn't know, Chris, I didn't know what a TBR meant. I didn't know what a tag video was.
Oh, man. Yeah.
It was like people were talking about, I started to watch other people and they were talking about tag videos. And what is this mysterious tag video thing? And I didn't know what it was.
Figure out that
it appears to be some strange ritual where people answer these questions and stuff, So yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's fantastic. Yeah. I love it. I had no idea that was how you kind of started. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did your students like it? Did they like it? Did it work for them in your class?
Yeah, I still have some subscribers who are students.
Oh, that's so cool.
Students. Yeah. Yeah. These days it's really fun when my students find out that I'm doing a YouTube channel and that I'm covering stuff like One Piece.
Oh yeah.
Suddenly I become the coolest professor ever.
You're like, yes.
Or at least to some of them.
Right. I mean, I'm sure there's some that are like lame.
At least to some of them. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, hey, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Have any of them read your book and talked about it?
Yeah.
That's awesome too.
Yeah, I've had students read the books, and I'm very grateful. I do have wonderful students. I'm very. Another thing I'm privileged to have it done in my life is teach, and I love my students, and I learn from them every year. And some of them I'm still in touch with some that I had as students years ago. So yeah, that's
very cool.
It's really cool. Yeah,
it is. That's awesome. Another writer just popped in. What is up, my friend Will? Thanks for being here and saying hi.
Will.
That's right. So what do you mostly teach now, since they took away your fantasy book class? What do you do? Just one main thing, or do you still do multiple classes?
Mostly I teach introduction to literature, and I teach English, what we call English classics, which is a survey course covering medieval literature and Renaissance literature.
Very cool.
That's my bread and butter. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Oh, I could see that. Tom makes a good point. You need to add your book to the syllabus. I like that.
If I could get that course to run, I would, Tom.
Oh, heck yeah. That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Make my students buy my book.
You have to buy this for the class.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be something.
I mean, I would sign it for them.
Yeah, see that there you go. It makes it go up. It's worth more than what they bought it for at that point.
That's right. I'm sure it'll be worth millions someday.
Clearly, come on. Oh, that's awesome. All right, so I want to circle back to your book for a second because I forgot to find a spot to ask. I'm curious. I know with the world building and with a lot of things that happen, a lot of that was your kind of research and your love of history and all of that stuff. But character-wise, were any of the characters that you came up with, were you inspired from people in real life or just from things you've read or things you studied, or was it a mix of all the above?
Interesting question. Yeah. The first thing, and Jenny just mentioned Beowulf, so that is great timing. The first character whose name I knew was Dayraven.
That's such a cool name.
The protagonist.
Yeah.
That is a name that occurs in Beowulf. It's a throwaway character. It's a tiny character who's mentioned, a warrior that Beowulf actually kills during his career as a warrior. He actually kills him with a bear hug. He cracks his ribs and kills Dayraven.
Oh man.
And I always thought, what a waste of a cool name.
Yeah, right.
What a waste of a cool name. I mean, of course, in Old English, it's Dayraven, right? It's not Dayraven. And I decided to modernize that name and make him Dayraven.
So cool.
So I thought, I need to write a story about a guy named Dayraven. And that was the first character whose name I definitely knew. And I had to figure out who this guy was. So, yeah. Yes, you gave me the excuse to say Beowulf. Can't be a Dr. Fantasy live stream without Beowulf.
No, cannot. That is true. That's true. Oh man.
So the characters, other than that, they just kind of grew as I realized what kind of story I'd be writing. And I knew it would be a story of people understanding that the foe they thought they knew turned out to have much more in common with themselves, that people of different cultures and religions can actually find that their common humanity outweighs the differences, that they're capable of understanding and loving each other and connecting with each other in some beautiful ways. So I wanted the story to be fundamentally about that. So I knew I would have different cultures in this world.
Very cool. I like it. So a lot of people always want to know whenever I have a writer on here, they want to know about their process. We already talked about that a little bit, but another one that everyone always is curious about is, while you're writing, do you listen to anything? Do you listen to music? Do you have something on in the background? Or do you completely just lock in and have nothing that can distract you? So what would you say? What do you do while you're writing?
I found that in the initial process of getting this vision onto a page, that I don't want any distractions. I prefer it to be quiet. I might have some ambient noise, like a fan running or something like that, to drown out everything. But other than that, I don't want any distractions. But I have also found that when I'm editing, which is my favorite part of the process, sometimes I like to have music. And particularly, I'll seek out music that conveys the tone I'm going for, the atmosphere that I'm going for in that scene. So if I'm going for something gorgeous, I'll put on The Lark Ascending by Rafe Vaughan Williams or something like that. Or if I need something a little more metal, I'll find a track from Two Steps from Hell or something like that, or whatever,
Depends on the day, huh?
Depends on what I need. Depends on what I need in that moment, what emotions I'm trying to evoke. And I find that music helps to put me in that frame of mind, and hopefully I get it onto the page.
Nice. Okay. Very cool. I like that answer. I should put this up there. Janny Wirtz didn't want to know if you didn't base Dayraven on the legend symbolic meaning of the White Raven.
I mean, that got rolled into it for sure. I definitely, I feel like there's almost an archetype here that I'm playing with in that characterization. And you don't fully realize what the name means until you get to the end of Return to Edan.
Okay. All right.
I can't say more than that.
No, don't. I don't want to be spoiled.
Fully realize what it all means until you get to the end of the trilogy. So I certainly worked that in, but the initial inspiration was definitely that poor guy who got the life squeezed out of him in Beowulf.
Who knew? Who knew?
Frankish warrior who bit the dust. Yeah.
Oh man. I also loved in it. I loved the Day Raven, his powers, magic, whatever you want to call it. I loved how it was so emotion and like empathy based. I thought that was really cool. Like one of my favorite scenes is when they're fighting that monster, and which to begin with was well written. That was some freaky stuff going on. Like it was very intense.
You're talking about the swamp troll, right? The
yeah.
Idlock?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And then when he uses his power decides to do it to save everyone, and it totally flips where you're like, oh my gosh, they need to kill this thing. And then it's like all of a sudden you feel sorry for it, and it makes sense. Like, yeah, it's just protecting its family, you know? So was that something that you wanted that magic based system to be from the start, or did it come to you while you were writing, or was it kind of always planned from the beginning?
Yeah, the magic is very closely based on Buddhist and Hindu philosophy, with two fundamental realizations. One is that we are temporary, we're fleeting creatures. And the other is that we are connected to everything. And my favorite metaphor for this was one I initially read it in a book by Thich Nhat Hanh called the Heart of the Buddhist Teaching. And essentially it's the metaphor is that we are like a wave on the surface of the ocean. And we think of ourselves as independent, separate from everything else, but really we're just part of all that water, right? Mm-hmm. And we came from that water and we will return to that water. And that's kind of the metaphor that the magic system conveys, I think, at times. And fundamental to the story is the question of whether or not humanity is essentially, of all the life forms on this in existence, are we kind of like a cancer? Are we, we're the single most destructive species ever to have existed. Are we fundamentally, irredeemably like a cancer in this world? Or are we actually capable of compassion? Are we capable of redeeming ourselves through compassion and empathy? And this is, I think, as you get further and further into the trilogy, I think you'll see that it's the crux of the story is exploring that question. Are we capable of enough compassion to redeem ourselves from, because I got to be honest with you, Chris, if I were a celestial being that came and visited this planet and could see the entire history of this planet in one vision, I would probably think to myself, yeah, these people are pretty screwed up.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree. Yeah.
These human beings, they're nasty, they're pretty destructive.
Yeah.
Would the world be better off if we just snapped our fingers and got rid of those nasty things, and then everything else could just do its thing and live? And that question frightens me in a way. And I want the answer to be, yes, we are capable of compassion, not only to each other, but to the rest of the creatures we share this world with.
Right.
So that's what I think is at the heart of the story. And that's at the heart of the magic system, is that question.
That's awesome. So good. Good stuff. So when you're not writing, switch gears again here. When you're not writing and you're not reading, what kind of stuff do you like to do? Because I don't know if it's from your channel or maybe I've seen pictures on other people's channel, but I've seen something about you playing tennis before. So I know you like to, and I remember thinking like, man, he's hiding some guns under those tweed jackets.
Yeah.
Like pretty impressive, man. I know you like to be active and do stuff like tennis.
Yeah.
But what other things do you like? Like video games? Do you watch much TV or movies? What kind of things do you like to do?
No TV, no movies,
I didn't
no
think so.
video games. I'm
Yep,
the most
yep.
boring person on the planet. But I do
You're
love,
brilliant. More time for books. That's awesome.
I mean, I read. That's my hobby.
Yeah.
I read and I do this and
Mhm.
and I write. I have a family. I have a full-time
Yeah.
job, and that's it. That's all I
That's
got.
enough to keep you
And the
busy.
tennis and the tennis. I love tennis so much. It is
Mhm.
definitely an outlet for me.
That's
I'd go
good.
crazy if I didn't have tennis.
Okay. Do you
But I've
get
always been
pretty?
active. I used to run
Mhm.
marathons and
Oh,
half
nice.
marathons, and yeah,
Okay.
I've always been active, and I love hiking. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Now, when you play tennis, are you super competitive? You get a
Yeah,
little
I think
fiery out
so.
there? Okay.
Okay, I got to tell you the story now, Chris.
Oh
Since
yeah, I want to hear it.
this channel is called the Bearded Book Beast,
Yeah,
and this
yeah.
is Beast Friends Forever.
Be friends forever. That's right.
This is I don't think I've told this story on YouTube before, so
Mhm.
this is a first. You got the scoop. So one time I was out there with a friend, and he's my age, in other words, old, and we were playing tennis.
Mhm.
And next to us were a couple college students who were playing tennis, and they were pretty good.
Okay.
But we go at it. We go at it, and we were just having one rally. And I'm not exaggerating here. I'm sure I'm not exaggerating. This rally had to have gone into the 50s or 60s, like 50 or
Mhm.
60 shots. It was crazy. And we were going
Oh wow.
at it like crazy. And neither one of us wanted to give up on this point.
Okay.
We covered all the real estate on the court. I mean, we were just making each other run. We were just going
Oh man.
everywhere. It was
This is
crazy.
legit.
Finally, the point ended. I won the point, by the way.
That's the important part of
That's
the story.
important. I won the point. And both of us were like gassed. And it was
Yeah.
it was the most tremendous point ever played. It's a shame that it wasn't videotaped.
Yeah, we need this.
I mean, it would have made the tennis channel, I'm sure. But at the end of the rally, we realized that those college students had stopped playing.
Oh.
And they were just looking at us. And one of them just said to us, "Dude, you guys are beasting it.
Yes.
You guys are beasting it." That's what he said. And my friend and I, to this day, when we have a long rally like that, we'll say, "Man, we're beasting it
We're
now."
beasting it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You're the beast of tennis. I
Yep.
love it.
You heard it here, folks. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, the most important thing is that you won that. You can always remember.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
most beastly point ever was won by you.
That's right. That's right.
Now, when your friend tells the story, does he say that he won though?
Maybe.
You'll never know.
If he does, then I'll just have to let him have that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, who won the whole match though? Do you remember?
I don't remember who won that match. To be honest with you, he's probably a little better than I am. But
Not in that one though.
that point, I won that point.
So how'd you get him? What was your winning hit? What did you do? Just the other side?
I think he
Did you
just
fake
finally
it?
couldn't get to. I mean, he couldn't get to the last shot. You know, it
And-
was just.
And it was a clear in. It wasn't like close.
It was a matter of spreading him out wide, you know, making him run on that side, making him run on that
Yeah,
side, and
yeah.
then finally putting it away. Yeah.
Nice. Now,
Yeah.
do you watch a lot of tennis too?
I only can watch highlights on YouTube. So
Mhm.
the other thing I watch besides, I watch three things actually on
Okay.
YouTube. One is fantasy, booktube stuff. The other is tennis. And the third thing I watch would be dog videos because I love dogs.
That's awesome. Do you have dogs then?
Right. We had, I mean, I grew up with dogs.
Yeah. Okay.
I always had dogs. And as my own family, we had a dog, Belladonna, who was named after Bilbo's mother, Belladonna Took.
Nice.
She passed away a couple years ago.
Oh,
So yeah, we don't have a
that's
dog
tough.
right now, but eventually I will have to get another dog.
nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
In the meantime, I survive on dog videos.
yeah, that they are fun to watch. That is very true. I agree with Jenny. We need a T-shirt now. Beasting
Dr.
it.
Fantasy Beasting It. t-shirt.
Yes. And just your holding the tennis racket and the tweed jacket just ripping out. That's what we should do. Let's see. Brian said all I watch is booktube, chess, and video game let's plays. Yep, those are fun ones to watch too.
Huh.
I don't watch the chess one though.
I don't either. I played chess with my dad when I was little, and he beat me every time, so I hate chess.
So you're like, never again. Yeah. There was no beast mode on that, right? Your dad just wiped the floor with you.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I never played chess, not once. I played checkers a lot back in the day, but no. I'm with Tom. I watch too much YouTube. It's just I feel like that's the day and age now.
I mean, there's so many
to just keep going. You know?
There's so many lovely people here I want to support and watch their videos, and I can't. I just not enough time in the day to watch everything I want to watch. So
I know
I feel bad. Sometimes I realize, oh, this great person that I really love, I haven't watched a video of theirs in like a month or two, and it's just that's a shame. But yeah, it's a problem. It's a good problem, I guess.
It is that there's that much good stuff for sure.
Yep.
All right. John says we're going to play some chess. You'd have to teach me how, because I have no idea how to play chess. Fathers crushing their sons in chess is really a rite of passage.
It was chess. It was basketball. It was ping pong. Because my he's a lot taller than I am. He's 6'2".
Oh, wow.
And he was
how tall are you? You look pretty tall.
I'm 5'10".
Especially right now.
I'm 5'10". Yeah.
That's how tall I am.
Okay, so there you go.
See, there you go. All right.
Yeah, but my father was a very accomplished athlete, and he was a star basketball player.
Oh, wow.
College champion ping pong player. I mean, he was just great at everything he did. And I had to grow up with a dad who was like that. And I played ping pong with him every day in college.
Ping pong's fun.
And he beat me every single day.
Dang.
And I got to be pretty good. I was a good ping pong player, but I could not beat him.
Oh.
And then years later, we would have family reunions, and every 3 years or so. And there was one family reunion where we got together, and he's probably in his 60s at this point. Now he's 80. He's 80 now. But he was probably in his 60s when we were at my aunt's house, and there's a ping pong table. We have to do our thing.
Yeah.
And I finally beat him.
Were you like, did you react like a little too much over the top? Were you so pumped?
I actually was sad.
Oh, you were?
I felt guilty and sad.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh man, so that wasn't as rewarding of a point as in your tennis match.
It wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah. I could see that, because you probably thought a little bit like, "Oh man, my dad's getting old. That's why I beat him."
Yeah. A bit of you realize that Superman is actually mortal after all.
Yeah. That's pretty good run though. If it took till he was 80.
I mean, 60s, 80s.
Oh, no,
he's 80 now.
Yeah. Well, you beat him a while ago. You beat him 20 years ago. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's awesome. Let's see. Janny's talking about golf. No, that's fair. I think
golf. Jenny has too much energy for that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, man. Golf is one so my funny story with golf is I never got into it. I liked putt and I liked going with friends to like the driving range to where you just hit them, but I had a swing. Have you seen Happy Gilmore? Did you ever watch that movie?
I somehow missed that. Yeah, I should have. I don't know how I escaped the 80s it's from the 80s, right?
Yeah. Well, I think so. Yeah. But I had a swing like him. So but one time I went to actually play real golf with my friend and his brother and his dad, and they were super big golf players. And I remember we hit the first one, which I did fine because I could do the drive. Okay. But then we get to the next thing and I have no idea what I'm doing. And I'm trying to hit the ball. I just keep hitting up all the I don't even know what it's called, the putting green, whatever, the green. And there's this group of old guys behind me waiting for us to go. And then one of them yelled, save some of the course for us. Because I'm just chipping it all up, And then my friend's dad was like, let's just play farthest ball. Let's go. So I never went back and played golf again. That was my one time.
Well, it's probably better than I would have done.
Oh, man. It was pretty rough. Oh, man. All right. Well, I guess it has been an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
flying by, man. It's been so much
This has
fun
been so
chatting
much
with you.
fun, Chris. I've had a blast.
Me too. We'll definitely have to do it again, especially when we get closer to that exciting book coming out. Definitely have to have you on and shout out about it because I'm excited. So now I know I need to get book 2 and 3 done before June.
Okay.
I'm ready to rock and roll, but I feel like it's gonna be quicker than that because I mean this one hit me in such a great way. Like when I had a big lull where I wasn't reading a lot when I had kids and was going to college and all that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And 2 series got me big time back into reading and helped me find booktube, and that was First Law. That whole series, loved it, and Red Rising. And I binge through those, but otherwise usually I read like book 1 and then I'll try something else and I'll go back to it. But this one hit me like those, and I got to keep going. So I think I'll have it done well before then.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And hopefully that Cinepalm is mentioning the audio. We'll get after Alan to get the Prophet of Edan done.
I should have talked about that. I did want to ask you about that real quick.
Sure.
It was fantastic. He does so good that, like, I said in one of my videos, I don't even realize it's one person. Like because he does the voices so good. They don't even sound similar. Like even like he has accents. It's just crazy. He does an awesome job.
He's so talented. Yeah.
Yeah. How did that process go? Did you have him in mind already, or did he mention that he wanted to kind of get into that? Or
actually, it was Jimmy. Jimmy from the Fantasy Network, and I think maybe just jokingly or whatever. I think I knew that Alan was sort of vaguely interested in doing audiobooks, but it was Jimmy who said, "Philip, you should ask Alan to do it." And I immediately, it was a millisecond of thought. And it was like, yes, actually, because I had seen Alan do a play, just a one-person play.
Oh,
wow. It was based on the Iliad.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's still up on his channel or not, but
I'll have to go back and look.
I got chills watching him do that play. And I realized this guy is super talented.
Yeah.
And so when Jimmy suggested asking Alan, I immediately was on board. And I asked him, and thank the fates that he said yes. He had a lot to learn. He had a lot he did it so professionally, which is why the first book took as long as it did. Mm-hmm. He went about it just so professionally, and I respect that so much. And so I do anticipate that he'll be doing the Prophet of Edan much more quickly. I have to ask him I need to tell people because I don't know how far he is now, actually.
Okay.
But I anticipate it'll be out relatively soon. We'll see that within the next couple months. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. And there's Andrew, another great writer out there.
Andrew, there's an example of what we said. He's in the UK. He's got that.
He's in the UK.
Binding edition already.
That's not fair.
Waiting for. Man, and you talk about another awesome booktuber and author. I absolutely love Harbinger of Justice, and I'm reading Black Mantle right now. So good.
That's another series I got to jump on.
Yes, it's so good. Yeah. And Dewey Conway just popped in here.
Another great author. Author of
artist.
The SPFBO 10 finalist, Tana, the Tenacious Tale of Tana, the Tender Sword.
Boom. That's right.
Boom.
And he's got
book. I love
He's got a voice like Velvet too. I heard him do a read aloud.
Talk about audiobooks.
Yes.
This guy's got the voice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again, Philip. I really appreciate it. This was a blast, man. I appreciate hanging out with me, and it was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you, Chris. And thank you, everybody in the chat. And I look forward to seeing you in our playground here on BookTube. That's right. Yes. Everybody, whether you're on replay or in the chat, I will put links down in the description for Philip's books. So definitely check them out, of course, for his channel as well, which we all know and love. But live chat, you guys were awesome. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Everybody have a great rest of your Saturday. Enjoy your weekend or whatever day this is if you're watching the replay. And until I see you in the next one, which will be Tuesday evening, I'll have Chance Dillon on to talk about his book that's coming out this summer. So look forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Chance is a great guy. Oh, he's fantastic. All right. So everybody have a great weekend.
And until I see you in the next one, like I always say, devour your TBRs, be brave, be beautiful to one another, and be beastly. We'll see you guys. Take care, everybody. See ya.